Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh, man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get a hell yeah!
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, our Sixers draft coverage continues, and we're breaking down a really interesting stretch, big. And to help me do that, I've got my man, Tiago. Follow him on Twitter at TScabby. Good morning, Tiago.
Man, it's early. It's very early. I don't know how you do this, Chris, every day, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're trying to get a couple prospects in before we have to go to work, but happy freaking Friday, everybody. Guys, if you love the Sixers, please give this video a like. If you love the NBA draft and Sixers basketball, tons and 20-plus scouting reports and highlight reels here at the Painted Lines YouTube channel. So if there's a guy that you like, it's a very high likelihood that we already covered him. Or just drop a comment during our show and we can talk about it. But Tiago, today we are talking about Isaiah Todd, a guy who played highly touted prospect in high school, went to the G League. Let's start just to break it down an overview. Who is Isaiah Todd? I'll start the tape.
Yeah, when you say highly touted, he was actually a 5-star recruit and actually committed to Michigan University. So power forward. Brings a lot to the table, and I think the move to the G League was good for him because, first of all, I think you just get better coaching, or you get in a better system when you're at the G League over college basketball. Obviously, Michigan being one of the best programs in college basketball, makes you wonder if he would have had perhaps more playing time under Juwan Howard, if he would have perhaps more chance to stand out because his team, his G League team, the G League Ignite team, had like Jalen Green, who is one of the top 5 players in the NBA draft this year. So his season at the G League was interesting because I think he averaged something close to 12 points a game on 24 or so minutes a game, and not necessarily the go-to guy for that team, obviously, but did a lot of interesting things that really stand out on tape. And one of the things that stood out, for instance, when you watch him, and we can talk about it when his strength is, his shooting. And he led the league, he led the G League last year in field goal made from mid-range. So here's a guy who, clearly has a shooting pedigree, has a shooting arc to work with, and, not being talked about so much as a first-round prospect, which is interesting because when I watched him on tape, I did see hints of a first-round prospect, and perhaps some of the athleticism, positional limitation factors keep him from being talked about in that area. But, man, it's just a super toolsy kind of player that, reminds you a lot of the process days when the Sixers draft these type of guys and develop them over time. So, yep.
All right, let's move on to strengths. Clearly it's shooting. The bread and butter of this guy is shooting. Yes, the efficiency numbers were not necessarily great. I think 53 true shooting percentage. But man, you look at this tape, the shot versatility is pretty wild. Catch and shoot, off movement, pick and pop, face ups, fadeaways, turnarounds. There's even a Dirk fadeaway that we have in this video. So this guy actually has a lot of kind of weapons in his arsenal. Tiago, what do you think about this guy's strengths?
Yeah, so for me, it's what you said, Chris. It's the polish that he shows at the age of 19, which is pretty impressive. He's going to turn 20 in October, so he's going to start the year pretty much as a 19-year-old kid. And when you watch him on tape, I mean, that step back fadeaway that you talked about with Dirk, right? I mean, that thing is that not everybody masters that shot, and he's doing it at age 19. So you brought up the fact that his true shooting percentage was down. A lot has to do with shot selection.
Yeah.
But, in the face-up game, in the spot-up game, they use him on pick and rolls and the kind of dives or like ghost screens, or set a screen and flash out to the three-point line. Again, these are NBA-type plays that he was running in G League, and it was being successful when, he was in those scenarios. So I think the shooting is something that I enjoyed a lot about his game. I think it's going to translate. It looks smooth. It looks like it's something that's really sustainable. He plays with high energy, man. I really enjoy watching him play. He's one of those guys that really, I thought, stood out in terms of effort and energy and impact on the offensive end from that perspective. And it really shows on how he plays off the ball. I thought that one of the things that I really enjoyed about him as well was the fact that he's moving. He's kind of, finding himself within the offense. He's just not a stationary player. We see that a lot with the Sixers, right? A lot of standing around, specifically around Ben Simmons. This guy, a power forward, would not be that kind of player. I think he's comfortable with his offensive game and being able to kind of move around and find his offensive niche. I think for second round prospect, man, the profile, the size, athleticism, shot making profile was very interesting. And it's a guy who can play perhaps some power forward, some small forward, very fluid. So it's a very versatile player, the type of guys that the NBA salivates over. But it's going to be a question around, like, can he kind of harness a lot of his limitations around, shot making and some athleticism as well.
Yeah, let's kind of back off of that and talk about weaknesses, because I think, like, he's not aggressive, although he is at times overconfident. I will take that back. He definitely there's not a shot that he won't take. What about defensively? How do you see this guy? How do you see his defense translating at the next level? And what are some of your other weaknesses? Because there are definitely some.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's really where he kind of falls in second round ranges around defensive impact around multiple positions. Like, he's not good right now, at least. He's not a very big and strong guy. So if you want to play him big, I think that's going to be a problem. And at the same time, he has some athletic limitations, vertical limitations, in my opinion, that will keep him from being a very switchable guy. So I do think, yes, he can defend power forwards, small forwards, but watch him get on the perimeter. You can kind of see, like, it doesn't look as fluid. It doesn't look as clean as some of the other kind of switchable prospects. So I think teams will definitely identify that and kind of try to attack him in space, again, with ball handlers. And I think that's kind of where he may struggle. Offensively, I mean, it's really about we talked about it, is just the ability to understand shot value, right? So I think he had 26 field goal makes in the mid-range area. And if you kind of break it down, it's a lot of stuff like 1 feet or less within the three-point line contested, right? So yeah, you made that shot, great, but is that really the best shot that you can have at that point in time? Because that contested shot 1 feet in front of the arc in the NBA is probably not going to be a make. So are you willing to forgo some of those looks and kind of work within the flow of the offense and understand, okay, you may not get 26 makes in the mid-range, but you may get, 6 or 7 or 8 wide open looks from the corner where, you have the capability to hit it in stride and comfortably knock it down. So I think it's those two things. I'm comfortable enough to say that I think his shot value will improve in the NBA because he seems like a very coachable player. So I think he'll understand, what his framework of the offense looks like in the NBA. At the G League, things are a little bit more wild. It's a little bit more crazy. But I think overall, it really falls on the fact, can he be this hyper switchable player, right, at the NBA? And I think that's kind of where he may struggle to find his footing. But I'm comfortable enough to say that at a small forward, power forward position, especially when he gets a little bit stronger, which he should, I don't think he's going to have much of a problem defending on guys at that size. So,
yeah, let's move on to fit with the Sixers. Clearly, the first thing that I looked at is his transition numbers are terrific. You look at the pace of the Delaware Bluecoats, and they love to push the pace. Yeah. 1.29 points per possession transition. Excellent. Really strong with the G League last year, 90th percentile. So you got to think Daryl Morey sees that and loves the fit there, potentially throwing him down there with the Bluecoats just to coach him up for a year. Because I do think this guy will need a bit of coaching, even though he's, you add him to the Sixers roster, he's immediately better than anything you get from Mike Scott. I could probably give you – never mind. Anyway, what do you see about his fit with the Sixers, Tiago?
Yeah, I mean, the name Mike Scott is immediately what you think about in terms of how he would fit as a role player with the Sixers. Now, let me be clear. I don't think this guy would play at all if the Sixers were to draft him this year. I think it would be a definite developmental player. I really see him. Yes, I mean, the shot looks good, but getting him in those situations where they're comfortable up with him defensively, I think it's going to take a while. So from that standpoint, he's probably not going to play at all in the beginning. But again, we talked about this with a lot of prospects, right? So it's the idea that, you're perhaps not even drafting for this year, next year, or perhaps you're not even drafting to be a Sixer. It's the idea that you're stacking up, these players in your system that you can showcase, perhaps even give them some spot up minutes at the NBA. But, if there's a trade, if there's an opportunity to enhance your roster and utilize picks or young kids that stand out, he could be definitely one of those guys. I definitely see him being as a high value second round player. The Sixers don't have a high second round pick, so he may fall in that range of, do they value him enough to be a first round talent at 28? And if they don't, he may not be. I don't think he will be available for their second round pick unless they make some sort of trade in between. But for me, watching a lot of these kind of stretchy, rangy forwards that we've seen so far in the NBA, in the college recruitment, he's up there, man. I would definitely put him up there as one of those kind of potential stretch forward types that we've seen so far at the NBA draft ranking. So yeah, definitely need to keep an eye on. I think there's one more point. I think that had he played college basketball, like 5 games, done the March Madness stuff, I think we'll be talking about a first round pick. I really do. So I would not be shocked if he goes in the first round. I'll be interested to see if the Sixers take that swing.
I personally would not use a first round selection on him. I think there's a handful of guys in that first round area that I just think would have more immediate impact value. I can't deny the fit, though. The Sixers have to keep bringing in these stretch bigs because that is such a huge need on this team.
Yeah.
But like you said, Tiago, if this guy slips a little bit in that second round and he's there to get at the end of the day, shooting is king. And if you could bring a guy with that level of shot versatility and youth and, a guy you can shape and mold into someone that can thrive alongside Embiid, I'm all in, man. This is definitely, high on my big board in that second round. But anyway, any final thoughts? Where can we find you, Tiago?
No, we're just going to keep doing these until January. Not January. July 28th, 29th, was the NBA draft takes shape. So there's board guys to cover. Some guys are dropping out, which makes, as Leo Todd's chances to move up in the draft even higher. So, look out for more of those guys coming up.
I was upset about Terrence Shannon withdrawing.
Yeah, I didn't think he would. I knew Bagley would transfer out or pop out, but Shannon I thought would stay in.
Yeah, he's a gunner. I liked him. All right. Follow Tiago on Twitter at @TScabby. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Crackpot if you want. Check out all of these prospect scouting reports are also at thepainlines.com. If you just want to listen to the audio, they're there as well. So make sure you follow Tiago. For myself, thank you everybody for watching. See you next time.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.